Did this work? I think it did. Let's see if Erin joins. Oh, it does work. Good. Erin is just about to join. Talk about teething issues. Here she is.
Hello. What are you like?
They've moved the button, mate.
Where was it?
I don't even know how I found it. I think if you try to, you know, when you start a post, it was down the bottom. You can choose like post, IGTV, Reels, Live. It's not how it used to be. This is turning 39. I don't know how to use IT equipment anymore.
I can imagine upsetting just now.
I'm never late, right? I was stressed. I was like, fucking I did my washing up at 5:02. I was like, I've got loads of time.
I was like 2 minutes early. I was like, right, I better go on. It's 18:59 just to make sure that I'm on time today.
Yeah.
So how are you?
We are here. We are back. Lockdown lives. It's bittersweet talking to you because it means we're in lockdown.
I know.
But it's good to see you. Oh, God. So obviously we both have really wanted to talk about this for a long time. And I just bit the bullet recently and just started uploading my fat videos that would never have seen the light of day before. And I've had so much response from people just honestly just thanking me for showing some reality, because no one ever shows their off-season body. And obviously it got us talking about it and normalizing it, and just it's made me realize that you never hear anyone talking about off-season ever,
Especially as a female as well. I think it's a little bit different. Guys will document their off season, they'll document their preps, but when it comes to a female, females feel that they need to hide away and feel like they're not good enough in their improvement season body. Where if you want to be competitive and if you want to win your IFBB Pro card, or if you want to win in British finals, you've got to get yourself into a position where you are going to be gaining tissue, and you can gain tissue a couple of like in a select list, but it's not optimal.
Yeah,
You've got to get yourself to the place where you're going to be feeling the best as well, and that is a couple of kilos above stage weight. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says, it honestly drives me nuts.
yeah. Even, you know, me sitting 10 kilos up from stage, I still have lines, and I've always felt, so this is how many off seasons am I in? I think I'm in my 4th or 5th. So the first one, I really bulked. I got extremely uncomfortable. I used to cry in the street about being fat. It's funny because it was the first time I ever had delts, because I'd never had them before, right? So I was naturally skinny, and now I'm gaining excess body fat, but I'm also gaining muscle. I was a newbie, you can imagine. And I felt butch because I had this new muscle forming. My body shape was morphing. And although I was training for that, my body image for the last 35 years had been this skinny girl, you know. I still feel like that skinny girl, even though I've got such an athletic form now, because that's what my mind has always seen. And I used to cry in the street, and my boyfriend at the time was just like, don't be ridiculous. Like, it's so hot how much muscle is underneath there. I don't care what's on top. You know, you've got to do what you've got to do if you want to compete. But you're just bombarded on social media and the news and stuff about this kind of perfect image of what a woman looks like. And it's funny because when I was growing up, it was like Kate Moss supermodel era. You know, I was born in the 80s. So that was that 90s heroin chic, literally live on cigarettes and Diet Coke. And now it's this curvaceous, tiny little waist, Kim Kardashian type of look that I'm never going to look like that. And it just has always felt impossible to mold to what the media say we should. But actually, we're doing something that the media says we shouldn't. We're becoming strong women, athletically, physically strong.
And I think that's what the problem is. Like, we're doing such an extreme sport that we're putting ourselves to extremely low body fat percentages. Spend the majority of the time taking photos of ourselves, looking at ourselves in the mirror, looking at the tiniest little details, that suddenly when that gets taken away and you have the freedom to eat more, and you're returning back to normality from a health perspective as well, because it's so important.
Yeah.
Your mind cannot handle it. That is the hardest thing post-show, is your mind. It's like a never-ending battle with your head, and it is a timer as well. Coming out of that, you're wanting to eat everything underneath the sun. That's what social media and everything says that you've got to do. It's just like it's such an overwhelming time, I think.
Yeah. I think it's such an important time to keep your coach. You know, a lot of people, they'll do a prep and then they'll think, well, it is a lot of money to have a coach, but it's a fantastic investment because obviously they prep you. You need them to do that. But I think people underestimate just how difficult it is mentally and physically. I mean, you can have some health implications, right? I know we've all had problems with our stomach and bloating and all those kind of digestive issues, going from a prep diet on extremely low calories, very bland food, into the eat all you want pizza extravaganza that I have after a show. And you just need someone with that kind of expertise to guide you through it emotionally as well as physically, because, you know, I don't reverse diet. I go straight back up to normal calories because I hate being that lean because it makes me look so old. Obviously I get the old skull face. But what do you do post show? Do you reverse, or like, what do you prefer to do now?
I've done it several different ways, so it's basically just been finding a method that's going to work best for me. So I didn't have a clue what was happening, if I'm being 100% honest.
Yeah.
I went down the I'm going to eat everything in sight route, and I'm sure, and I got my boobs done right after my first show as well, which means I gained a significant amount of water retention within the first couple of weeks. So I gained, I think it was 12 kilos in 2 weeks, which isn't healthy. I think you've got to have a balance between the two. I think focusing on a recovery diet rather than a reverse diet is extremely important, because you've been depleted for such a prolonged period of time. Your body's been depleted of
here she goes.
Go in and add in 400 grams of carbs right off the back of a contest. You're obviously going to turn into a balloon, but reversing out slowly either isn't an optimal idea, because, as I say, your body's been depleted for so long. You need your body back up to a healthy place where your menstrual cycle is going to return, and where you are in a position where you're going to get lean tissue, because that first period post-show, that's when you're going to gain the most amount of muscle. That's when your body's going to be so responsive, because it's going to literally be like a sponge to everything that you give to it. So that's why it's like really important to actually be smart with the nutrition side of things post-show.
For me, I don't know if you suffer, but when I'm stage lean, my sleep goes out the window, and I'm sleeping maybe 4 hours a night, and then having to get up. I've got a full-time job in an office as well. Do that, do my prep, try and keep my life together on such little sleep that I just want to get back to that kind of is the recovery for me. I don't really, I'll be honest, I don't train post show, so I've always missed out on that rebound. My rebound has always been the fat kind. But my joints, I am a little bit older, and it does make a difference. My knees are shot after a competition prep, and I need that month off. But I just want to feel energetic again. I want to feel like when I wake up in the morning, I don't just rise like a zombie ready to do bloody fasted cardio, or I walk around the park for an hour and a half trying not to pee in the bushes 24/7 because there's a school right there. That's my life. But yeah, I actually have never lost my menstrual cycle. I've been very lucky. But my sleep goes so badly, and I'm desperate to get that back on track. And just the energy to feel alive again. I don't know about you, but I feel dead. By that season that we did together for PCA 2018, I did the first show, and then 2 weeks later I did the British, and I completely peaked in every way possible for that show. And that following 2 weeks, when we were getting ready for Worlds, I wasn't even going to do Worlds because I physically didn't feel like I could continue because my body was just done. I binge ate for 2 weeks before a competition. It was the worst headspace to be in. And I still looked great. My body, as you said, it just sucks up the nutrients. It just wanted food and energy. I certainly didn't look very tight on stage, but I was full as a house, and taught me a lesson. But I really struggled for the few months post-show with what I looked like. I was so bloated and so watery. And I mean, I wasn't that much bigger, but I just, as you said, I was like a balloon.
How did you feel mentally when you was bloated and you knew that you was holding a lot of water retention? Because that's what a lot of people struggle with. Like, a lot of people are like, is this happening to everybody else? Am I the only one that's getting watery abs? Am I the only one that's feeling like this? Because that's what I'm meaning with social media. Social media out, especially post-show, if you're competing with a load of girls, they're all putting on after, feeling amazing. This is the best I've ever felt.
Yeah.
1 week post-show, and it's literally impossible. And from a mindset perspective, it can be so damaging to competitors.
I mean, you see girls in the gym the day after the show doing cardio. And for me, that's a bit of a red flag, because you're so tired, you need even just 1 day of rest, because it's really physically grueling, isn't it, to compete, especially in PCA, where you've got to flex every single muscle the whole time you're on stage, and you're so depleted. But I just felt like a bit of a failure, like I wasn't doing it properly. And you know, when you do compete, and if you do bring in a couple of trophies, you get a surge of new followers, and so you feel like, oh my god, all these new eyes are on you. They don't know you, they don't support you. Like some of my older followers that have been following me for a while, we don't know each other personally, but we feel like we do, you know, because they're always there. They send me little words of encouragement and stuff. But I had all these new people looking at me, and I started to meet more girls in the industry, like more successful. And I just felt like a fake, you know, like I was British champion. Yeah, sure. But I was binging so badly until I was almost sick. I would be literally heaving over the bin, but nothing would come out. But I almost, it never happened, but I almost was tempted to be sick just to get rid of the calories, because I didn't want to be fat under this public eye of Instagram. And I've never had an eating disorder before, but that is, I mean, that's bulimia. And no one ever talks about that side of it.
This needs to be spoken about more, because social media, you see the glamorous side of competing through social media. And more people are competing year after year. And this is what I educate my girls about post-show when they first start competing. I need to prepare them for what's going to happen. But when we first started competing, we didn't have none of that. I think more, but it's still not enough. I think everybody just kind of needs to start being
honest.
Yeah. And that's why I've documented my whole improvement season. I'm consistent putting my progress photos up every single week for the past year and a half. And like I'm not feeling my best, but I need to actually show what's real, because amount of people like face tune their photos and everything nowadays as well. It's just crazy if I'm being 100% honest. And it is good that we're doing this live today to actually talk about it, because I think it is going to be really, really valuable to people that even not necessarily just competing, coming out the
Yeah.
diet.
Just putting on fat gain while you're trying to build muscle, right? Because you can't really do it without doing that. Especially, I suppose it's so intense in competing because we have such a short period of time where we're trying to make maximum gains. So you do just have to pack the body fat on instead of trying to stay better body composition. So as you've seen, like my last few off seasons, I was sitting about 10 kilos up, 12 kilos maximum. I can remember feeling so fat and so out of shape. And I remember I was single. I would make excuses when I went on dates to try and explain to them why I wasn't in my best shape. And I'm looking at the videos now. Now I'm actually 18, 19 kilos above my stage weight. And I still look fine. Don't get me wrong. I've got a bit of fat on my stomach, but I look like I'm in the middle of a prep at the end of my off season last year.
Yeah.
And I can remember feeling so uncomfortable physically, but I hadn't embraced fully just letting go of what I look like right now for my goal, which is PCA Universe now, to be on that stage. You know, I want to blow my last stage outing out of the water, but I was expecting to do that by keeping a better body composition. And for my genetics, it's not possible.
Yeah.
No, it's just not.
Everybody's got their like homeostasis weight as well, where the body will naturally sit comfortably. And you've got to just allow yourself to get back up to that weight as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And then once you get to that weight, that's when you're like, right, we'll maybe slowly increase the food here. We'll monitor the weight and see what's happening. You don't want to go from like 0 to 100. Like, you know what I mean? Because then you yourself out of shape big time. Like, I think there has got to be a fine line as to how far you push, but like getting to your like homeostasis weight where your body fits is really, really important. And mine naturally sits about 12 kilos above my stage weight anyway.
Yeah.
Naturally. And I've been in my improvement season for what? A year and a half. Well, I'm not in my improvement season now, but I was.
Yeah.
I've only just started prep. I'm like 20 kilos up.
Yeah.
And it's the best I've ever felt. I think because I disconnect right away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what I look like, if I'm being honest. And the thing that stuck in my head as well is nobody else cares what you look like either.
Exactly that. Not one other person, not even your coach, to be honest.
Like, everybody thinks on social media that people actually give a shit what you look like. I know it's probably a lot of people's probably listening thinking this and thinking, oh my god, but it's true. We live in a self-centered world that everybody only cares about themselves.
Yeah. I must say, so I met Mike last year. We started dating. I was 2 weeks into prep and I leaned up super quick and we were new, right? So he was so into me, but I had a problem with what I looked like because I don't like looking lean. Don't get me wrong. Having a lean body and having delts and six pack, it is amazing. But what it makes me look like in my face, I hate it. So I projected onto him that he didn't find me sexy and that he likes bigger girls because he does like bigger girls. He's a power lifter, you know, he's surrounded by girls with thick thighs, big bums, and it's sexy. And I just had that in my head that lean wasn't sexy. So then it's not that I just didn't like my off-season body. I also didn't like my prep body. Yeah. And then we split up for a few months. And when we got back together, I'd put on 12 kilos because I'd come out because of coronavirus and lockdown. I just went straight back into calorie surplus. And his reaction to my body, all I could see was cellulite and rolls. And he had like hearts in his eyes. And he actually said to me, now this is the body. And since then, I've put on another 10 kilos and I'm feeling pretty uncomfortable around the middle. My limbs are fine. My face is fine. Could be a little bit tighter, but But my stomach is bigger. I'm like, my waist is 31 inches at the moment, and it's usually about 27, 28, and I compete at 23. But that boy cannot get enough of this body. The bigger and bigger it gets, because the bigger my bum gets, the bigger my boobs get, I'm building real quality muscle underneath. Like, my bum's never looked or felt like this. My whole body, even though I'm the fattest I've ever been, is rock hard because I'm training so hard. Exactly. And it's really helped me having someone that makes me feel desirable, like sexually, really, to accept my body. And you shouldn't put yourself into the place where someone else's validation makes you feel like that, but we're only human, right? And I do feel like it's easier when you are in a relationship with someone who loves you for who you are, not for what you look like. And I have found it much harder when I'm single to just let go of what I look like for the greater task, for the bigger goal. Because I've wanted to keep my body composition because I want to date and I want to meet someone, or I don't want people to think I've let myself go. I know we've got a friend and she says she's a PT, so she struggles because she thinks that people think that she should be in shape all the time because it's her job.
But the thing is, like, our shape, it's even like what a non-gymmer goer would look like. I mean, like, with the amount of mass us as competitors have got, we still look lean year round, no matter if 20 kilos up or not. And it's really difficult to actually think that way. I think we all just think, oh, we've lost our ways, we're not as dedicated because we're not looking like Lauren Simpson year round. But we've got to remember as well, those ladies that you're seeing on social media that are walking around with abs year round, that's their job. That's what they're literally getting paid to do. It's not real. It's not maintainable. You know what I mean? It's like comparing porn with sex.
I think that one of the kindest things I did to myself before I could get to this point where I've just let go of what I look like right now, because I'm thinking about in 6 months' time what I'm going to look like, is I don't follow a lot of fitness models. I follow my friends. I follow people that I can learn from, like good educators, and memes. So many meme pages. But I do actually follow Lauren Simpson because I actually think she does some great workout videos that give me ideas, especially in lockdown. But I don't follow like any of the classic fitness models that people talk about that are always in shape. Like, I know who they are and I'll see it every now and then, but I just don't consume that because it becomes your new norm, isn't it? What you see all the time. And that's not healthy for me right now because I'm in a different phase.
It's the most important thing. And it's like, kind of, when you're in prep, all you're focusing on is what your body composition is looking like. You're on the, well, you shouldn't be, but you're focusing on your scales going down. You're focusing on your measurements. You're focusing, everybody's looking at you in the gym. And when that's suddenly taken away, you've got to, it's all in the mind, I think. You've got to switch it off.
It's definitely a mindset that all of our friends have because that's why we're friends, right? But I think that's another key thing for me. It's the people that I surround myself and the people I confide in, their mindset. So obviously I've got you. If I have felt fat at times and vice versa, right? We chat and we're like, bro, imagine that first. No, but for me, it's imagine that second place. Because that's what happened to me at Worlds. Like, I can't come second again at my next show because then I haven't achieved my goal. So I imagine the second place, but just having people like you and Natalie, for example, who are both so driven on fuck what we look like right now because we've got that to do. And that doesn't mean that you're happy with what you look like necessarily at some points, because it is a bit of a roller coaster, isn't it? Some days I feel buff and I'm like, I'm sexy, I'm strong. And other days I'm like, I am a fucking whale. But I've got you guys to keep my head on straight about my why.
Yeah. It's about remembering your goal as well. Like, I'm the same. I do not want to step on that pro stage and look like a tiny little noodle. You know what I mean? That's in my head all the time. I know spend a day under eating my calories, it is not going to get me any closer to where I want to be. And I think new people are entering the industry. You've got to have a clear vision as to where you want to go. If you're just wanting to step on stage and you don't give a shit about the placing, fine. Maybe eat a little bit less. Have days where you eat less in your improvement season.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. If you're literally wanting to win and that's all you can think about and focus on, you've got to do what it takes. Like, at the end of the day, this is a fucking extreme sport.
Yeah.
The prep is only, what, 20% of the whole thing. You need to be able to do the 80%. And the improvement season is the place that is the most important. And that's what I try and just explain to all my clients. Like, yes, you'll feel uncomfortable for maybe a little time, but it's my job to pull you back when I think your body composition is out of whack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before.
Yeah. Jodie's made such a valid point. I was going to say, people put too much onus on how much they weigh as well. And this is not a sport where it matters how much you weigh. We don't have weight categories. We have to look a certain way. And she was saying that people just basically concentrate on how much weight. So say me saying I'm now 18 kilos up on my stage weight. I'm never going back to that stage weight if I've done the off season properly, because I would have put on a little bit more muscle, hopefully more. I've been off season for 2 years now. And yeah, I really just think you shouldn't be trying to get back to your 55 kilos for argument's sake, because you should be 56 kilos next time, or 55 and a half, depending, like, you know, whatever. People don't get it into their head. They think, oh no, I've got 13 kilos to lose. And it's like, how do you know how much weight you've got to lose? Because you don't know what you're going to look like. In my prep that we called off in 2020 for, because of COVID, I leaned up crazy quick, but I didn't lose that much weight. You know, my weight goes up when I start to become super consistent. But I looked so different at that weight, say 60 kilos, for example, to the 60 kilos from the 2018. And that's progress to me. That's what I focus on. And also I think for the newbies, they don't realize that your body will stabilize after a couple of months. And even if you are 60, for example, even if you're 60 in 3 months, you'll look less bloated and you will look leaner because your hormones are stabilized and you've got your routine going. You're probably eating more normal food now instead of just eating all the goodies that you've missed so much. But how do you, like, what are the things that you do to help your mindset when you are feeling like big, but not in a good way?
Just wear hoodies. I don't just do look.
It's true. I've started training in a t-shirt. It's unheard of. I'm an insta hoe. I wear a little bra top and high-waisted leggings.
And I'm like, I don't look like that now. Even though I'm maybe feeling shit now, I don't look like what I did a couple of years ago.
No.
Like,
you've improved. I mean, even when we went to Scotland this time last year, you were bigger, but your arms were still so lean, you know? And I can remember you being uncomfortable then, and I was thinking, is she crazy? Because you just don't see what you look like, right? And that's why it's important to have these people with the right mindset around you and your coach to keep your head on straight, because I know we were all like, I'm fat. And then we just sat there and ate burgers telling about how fat we are.
Just like what it is like to gain tissue. Post-show is the exact same. Every single time you get post-show, you'll get stronger at it. It'll get easier. You'll not want to hoard biscuits and whatever.
I don't do that, you know.
Yeah,
because it's my trigger. I'll just smash it. So I just got to not have it in the house. I'm very lucky. I live on my own, so I completely control what is here. But what's her name? Gemma's asked the question, what is your opinion on keeping high calories but clean food in the off season? Do you think it's important? So
I'm getting these comments.
Oh, you got to scroll all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah,
and then scroll a bit up just above Hannah.
No, the last comment I've got is Aldo MCR, and he says fit like.
Oh well, I've got some
And
that basically. So Jem's saying, do we think you have to eat clean? So I've actually done both recently on the same calories. So when the gyms were open, my diet was worse because there was more temptation. Bloody Lily comes, she cooks a bloody cookie dough for everyone at the gym constantly. She's a feeder. And I'm not the kind of person to say no in the off season. So I was quite fat on my stomach. Like it had cellulite. It was really watery. But I didn't think it was water. I just thought it's fat. And then in lockdown, I've kept my calories because I want to keep my surplus. But the food is cleaner because I just get my groceries delivered. I don't even go to the shop myself, so I don't really pick up the bad stuff, the more delicious stuff. And I look different. I'm not watery. I've still got some fat on my stomach, but it looks far less. I haven't lost any fat. I haven't lost any weight, but I just do look better because I think I'm not as inflamed. And
I the most important thing is that it digests well.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to remember that we're doing this to make sure that we're training at an optimal level as well. And if we're not digesting our food efficiently, we're not going to be able to perform as efficiently as we want either. And it isn't just about having a balance as well. Like, yes, it's okay to potentially have some chocolate or like meals out here and there, but having if you was eating out every single day, you would soon see that your digestion goes on.
It's too rich, isn't it?
Yeah, but at the same time, your food is in a really, really high place where it would be difficult for you from a digestion perspective to eat just clean food.
Oh, it's too much food for me.
Then it will have to eat some more calorie dense foods to get in. But the most important things is that you get it in and that it digests good.
For me as well, it's really important that it fuels my training. So my training has turned into a different beast in the last 6 months because I've been training with a wellness competitor. And so that first month, I didn't know if it was long COVID because I'd had COVID and I still felt like, are these the side effects? Or if my CNS was just fried from, I tripled my volume in a session with her, and I've got used to it now. But I really needed that food to fuel my recovery because I was sore and I was exhausted. And so I just started choosing better food because of that. But on the flip side, this is the time that you can eat, and you've got children, Jem, like you want to be with your family. You don't want to alienate them. All that's going to happen if you eat a bit higher calorie dense stuff is you're not going to feel that great, or you might not look that great for a couple of days, but it's temporary and those memories last forever. And for me, I'm very much about making memories. Even in my prep, at the start of my prep, people don't really feel like I'm in prep because I intermittent fast anyway. So I'll just eat with them later, my own stuff, but I never kind of make a thing of it. And I used to be funny about people eating around me, whereas now I just like, this can't be like that. Competing has to fit into my life, not the other way around. So I just have to be disciplined enough to not be tempted by the food that someone else has. But my goal is so big that the discipline's there because I can't come second again. Like, I don't know if many people know, but at the British finals, I tied with the girl who came second. I tied with Natalie. I never want to be in that position again where I'm not undeniable. I want them to know the minute I've walked out, before we've even done our comparisons, she's going to be top two, and I can't tie and I can't come second if I want to achieve my goal. So that's where my discipline comes from in prep.
I think having some freedom in your improvement season is really, really important as well. So macro tracking is going to be a really, really good idea. So you can implement more meals with family, friends, etc. as well. when you are in prep, it obviously has to be immaculate 24/7. But yeah, I think there is definitely room for more calorie dense foods. You don't need to eat the same foods every single day. Like at the end of the day, it's calories in, calories out. There's just going to be foods that are going to sit better in your stomach and
My
make
approach to this off season, now I've let go of my mentality of I've got to stay tight around the middle, is I've got minimum calories to hit, which is my calorie surplus. Anything I eat over that, it's up to me. I've got to diet it off. Like, basically, that's the reality. If we're just talking black and white terms, anything above what I need to do what I'm doing is just gonna have to get dieted off. But you know what? Everything I eat is worth it because it's delicious. Have you guys ever been to the Lidl bakery section? It's so delicious. They do these cheese straw things. Holy shit. I don't know how much calories they are, so I just add them onto the top of my food. And yeah, I do a meal plan about halfway in from prep. I do the first half as more flexible, and then I have to get my head down and not think about what I'm eating and just tick boxes. Josie's also said the leaner you get for stage, the more you're likely you'll have to put back on to get back to your healthy body weight. So obviously we're in very lean categories. Some of the categories are not as lean, and they shouldn't experience the side effects that we do. But I've seen those girls struggle with the weight gain in off season just as everyone else does, you know, because it's all relative, right? But to get your hormones back on track is one of the biggest reasons to put the weight back on, isn't it? Like, you just don't want to feel crazy or dead or have your cycle not return if you've lost it.
Of why you're doing it as well. Like, are you competing just to get stage lean, or are you because you want to push yourself to your limits, get yourself to a place you've never been before? But if you want to be successful, you've got to be able to do both. You can't be a bodybuilder and do the bodybuilding.
Yeah. It's really interesting. George just said blokes wear hoodies and baggy t-shirts as well.
Read their Instagram names just so I know, because
George WUK.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he said blokes wear hoodies and baggy t-shirts as well, and it's really interesting because that does mean they're also going through the same thought process as us. We always disregard men in this whole process, right? But yeah, we all get super lean. Any kind of fat gain is going to be hard for anyone, right?
Yeah.
But as you said earlier, this is not just about competitors. There are a lot of lifestyle clients that do go into a growth period where they want to build their shape a little bit more, and they have to go through the same issues. You know, generally they've dieted down first to then build back up, and it's difficult to get your head around. And I really do think that you just have to have the right people around you that support you, because there's nothing worse, I know we've all had it, than people saying just eat, just have this. You know, I've asked someone not to make me any more treats, and the very next day there's a treat, and I'm like, why are you trying to sabotage me?
I get my clients to check in every single day post show. It is such a lonely time, and if you're coming out the back of that and you've not got that community or network around you, it's really, really difficult. So I get to check in every single day, because then if they do have like a little slip up and they eat a couple of cookies, or they end up, you know what I mean, like, they know that I'm there and I'm going to be by their side no matter what, because that's what a coach is there for as well. A coach isn't there to just get you on stage and then leave you. The path is the most important part.
But some coaches are terrible at the post-show bit. I'm the one that's terrible. I just don't use my coach post-show, and she'll be badgering me like, are you okay? Even at Worlds on the day, she was like, haven't heard from you. Are you okay? And I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing. It's fine. I've just done this twice in 2 weeks. You know, like, but you can be a bad client too if you're not honest with your coach. And especially if you have overeaten and not told them, and something has changed, they need to know why there's a change. Otherwise, you're never going to get the best tailored, personalized service, you need to be honest, right? I think that the communication with your coach is the absolute paramount important thing when you choose a coach.
Oh, definitely. You've got to be able to approach that person whenever I'll need to plug this into charge. Yeah, you've got to be
We're
able
so
to...
organized today, guys.
I know. You've got to be able to approach that person whatever time. But post-show,
yeah,
they've got to be there for you. It's part of their job, you know what I mean? Like, it's the most important part, in my opinion.
The greatest thing that I found in my own journey is the more muscle mass I have every year, the better I look with a higher body fat percentage, because I've got some shape under there. And so you don't see it when you look in the mirror, and you don't see it when you take a selfie. It's when you move, you know, and people can see the lines. And that's why I always send my coach a video when I check in. I know some girls don't, they just take the 4 screenshots and they send it. But I need her to see that, sure, I might look like a bit of a potato after 2 weeks post-show because I can't stop eating. But when I move, I'm full to the brim, you know, like, and I have got the definition. And I think it's really important for you, when you feel crap, if you're a competitor, get into your stage poses, check in, even if you don't send it to your coach. Once you see yourself in those shapes again and you see that fullness, it lends itself very well to the poses. It gets my head back in the game, like, oh, don't be stupid, you're not fat. You look amazing, just a bit watery.
It's kind of like, I have a client who had an accident in the gym and she broke her wrist. And she's been struggling a little bit mentally from that injury.
Yeah.
It's been difficult for her to go into the poses because she's scared in case she's lost tissue. But last Friday I was like, right, she did her tan, she put on her face of makeup and she went into her poses, and literally she looked insane, and she was like, I don't know why I've been so scared to do that.
Yeah.
It's the same post-show as well.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it, but once you do, you feel so much better.
Yeah. I've done 3 or 4 photo shoots in the off season, and every single time, well, apart from this last one, I didn't care, but every time I've been like, oh my God, I haven't had time to diet. They've always been really last minute. And then I've looked at the pictures, just the raw pictures, and I'm like, is that me? Is that what I look like? One of them, I literally had striations. It obviously wasn't that far after I'd come out of prep, but I felt I put on so much fat. I looked amazing. And in my head, that wasn't what I thought it looked like. And every single off-season photo shoot I've done, I've been so surprised at actually how good I look, even before the Photoshop, because let's not lie, they're all edited in the end. And I would really urge everyone I know to be like, just do the shoot. Like, any good photographer is going to give you the angles that's going to hide your less desirable bits. Or if you tell them, I always say to them, oh, my stomach. And they make sure that I hide it in the poses because they know I'm insecure about it. But you just made a great point about your client, the tan. A fake tan hides so much
I know.
fat. I don't know how it does. But
I
you
know.
put your fake tan on and you look a kilo lighter.
I know. She put her fake tan on, and then she checked in. She was like, I don't know why I've not been checking in. I'm like, it's because you feel good. Because it's like, yeah, you just, if you're hiding, like, if you're hiding away from it, and yeah, you just feel a hell of a lot worse. I think if you just kind of put yourself in that position, being like, right, I'm going to check in. Don't give a shit what it looks like. When we'll just take it from there. You know what I mean?
I know this sounds really stupid, but I actually haven't looked at my stomach for about a month. I just don't look at it. I know it's fatter than I want it to be right now. I just don't focus on it. What you focus on and you give fuel to will become something stuck in your mind, right? So I focus on, at the moment, one of my quads is bigger than the other. I can't stop looking at it. I'm like, why? But I've been focusing on the muscle tissue that I'm building. It's undeniable how much progress I've made since I've just stopped caring about body fat. And I probably haven't put on as much more as I thought I would, because I eat so much now. I hit my protein, I hit my calories, and I just carry on eating for the rest of the day. But I also make sure that I train so hard now, much harder than I used to in previous off seasons, because I'm more experienced now and I'm around more experienced people that drive me to be better. And it's working. I'm sleeping 2 hours more a night. I think that is so important for muscle building as well, is sleep and the recovery. The food. I think people underestimate how much food you need. My coach actually told me to, as a minimum, have about 300 to 500 calories above my maintenance calories. But that's not enough for me to make gains, which I've just proved to myself, because I did do that for my first year of my off season, roughly. And I grew a tiny bit. I got deeper, at least, and more mature. But these last few months, I've been probably in a 3,000 calorie surplus. 2,000, I reckon.
Monitor your body composition and your weight each week, and then determine what you're going to be doing from a food perspective after that? Or do you just eat whatever?
So I eat whatever, but when we're in lockdown, I'm much more consistent. So on protein, I'm really terrible at meeting my protein. I will eat 5,000 calories of carbs and like 90 grams of protein some days, because of this, like, just the temptation of being around me. It's so bad. So when I'm in lockdown now, I actually look better because I'm hitting my protein target. And we talked about it. I've increased it a little bit higher than my coach has said, just to see what happens. And I do look better. It does suit me. It's that very personal, isn't it? It's trial and error to see what the percentage should be of protein, carbs, fat. But I have a Fitbit, so I just keep a rough eye on how many calories it says I've burned that day. It's not completely accurate, but it's a good baseline, and I use the same device every day. I use the same weighing scales. I'm completely detached from how much I weigh. I don't care about how much I weigh ever. I did a prep without weighing myself the whole time, because it was just on what I looked like. Because Hannah made a point earlier, they don't care how much you lifted, they don't care how much you ate, they don't care how much you weigh.
It's not a weight loss competition.
They only care what condition you're in on stage day, like show day. They care about your shape. And I really feel like people don't understand that off season is when you build the shape. That's your muscle. You don't create shapes in prep. You reveal them by the fat coming off. And I didn't really think about it like that before. I was just training, ticking through my program. Whereas now I'm like, trying to maximize every training session, because I'm like, I need max gains, bro. Because I need to build that muscle, because that's what I'm struggling with in my own journey, is I lean up so easily, but I just don't build that much muscle until I started eating like a crazy person. Patrick, there is no way we're showing our biceps after what happened in the last Instagram live.
See these comments.
Do you remember the last ones?
I remember.
The guy wanted us to show the biceps, and he was having some alone time over our biceps.
Is that
Hannah's laughing because she knows.
Is it the same guy?
No, it's a different person, but he oh god. Look, the people that are laughing now were on those Instagram lives where it all happened. Do you get a lot more attention? Like, I've had a lot of attention recently from females, because I've been brave enough to show my my body fat, and I've been thanked for saying, like, we never see competitors in this stage usually, because there's very few of us that are willing to look imperfect on the internet. And I lose a lot of followers every time I post it. I expect they're male, if I'm honest. And they've come through when I've done a sexy photo shoot. I pick up those followers. And then when they see the competing stuff, it's not what they followed me for. But what kind of interaction do you get when you post your off season?
To be honest, I'm the same. I get like weird. I've got loads of these like like female fitness world pages that follow me,
Yeah.
and then if they like repost photos of me in my photo shoot preps,
Yeah.
and I'll get hundreds of guys adding me there. Then if I post an off-season photo, I'll lose like 100, 150 followers. But to be honest, those are the people I don't care, because at the end of the day, likes and followers do not matter.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I use Instagram to document my journey and to educate my clients and to inspire people.
Yeah.
To essentially do like a similar thing to what I'm doing, because I live and breathe bodybuilding, and I know that you've got to be able to do both parts. And what was the question again?
You answered it, babes. We're just talking about the interaction that you get when you post those fuller physiques, because I certainly noticed
going up already. It's crazy when you enter prep, your engagement goes up. Hundreds more people watch your story. You get more likes, you get more comments. It's just because people like exciting shit.
Yeah.
In the improvement season, you literally look the same every single week.
Yeah.
People aren't interested in that. You know what I mean?
It is really hard to keep motivated sometimes when you're in that middle, slap bang in the middle of the season, where you're trying to grow and you're not really increasing weight. Sometimes your strength might stall on certain lifts because you just need a deload, right? Because you've been smashing the training. I need one now just because of my knees. I have been smashing the quads, so now my knees are starting to get sore, and I'm like, no, my body's giving out before my mind does for once.
I've got dodgy knees anyway. I've got really dodgy.
Old age, mate. Wait until you're 38.
I know.
But I mean, it's just because the volume that I'm touching now in my sessions is honestly, it's so much more than I was before. I stayed in the same style of training for years, and I just starting to train with Lily and doing it her way. I struggled. I couldn't get there mentally. I remember you saying in lockdown, like, the amount of reps that you had to do to get to failure for your home workouts, you couldn't mentally get there anymore because it was just so overwhelming. And I felt like that when I first started training with her, but I saw results from week 1. Obviously at first it was just the pump, but she even said to me yesterday, like, your butt, because it's just different.
It's so like,
and that's what I'm focusing on. I'm not looking at my fat stomach. I even the high-waisted leggings, there's bloody fat bulging over, but who cares, because that precious muscle is here.
Nobody even notices that. Nobody notices. Like, it's weird the way we're programmed to think, that we think so highly of ourselves that other people actually care. You know what I mean? Like, of course some people do care, but not to the extent that we think they do. And I think that's probably the thing that's actually made me able to switch off the most. What are you laughing at? I can't see the comments.
Hannah's wrote, it's not fat, it's sexy overflowing, Hans.
It's nerves. It's muscle curves.
So I had some really interesting conversations with 2 boys that lift. One's a fitness model, and one's just a regular guy. And they both said that they find a little bit of cellulite on a girl's bum sexy, because she
it's normal.
Yeah. And they were like, I was just like, do you notice cellulite? Do you notice stretch marks? Like, I don't care about mine anymore, to be honest. But they said they actually like it. They don't like us stage lean. I always say stage lean looks incredible in photos, but in real life,
we're like tiny little.
Like it's not enjoyable. And then there's a reason they call it muffin top, tasty as fuck. Thank you, Patrick. I'm not fat. Danny, yes, it's going to be on my IGTV. I'm going to put it on my YouTube. And if you want to ask questions, yes, but this is about being fat.
Stop using that word.
It's about our improvement season, I really just wanted to put out some content about to other girls, especially the girls that are in their first or second season of competing that are struggling, because I struggled. I'm sure you did as well. Like those first few years where you don't have much muscle underneath as well, or it's not very mature muscle.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's harder to be higher body fat percentage then. Whereas now I can still look athletic. Like I've still got a bit of delt and bicep. Yeah. Oh no, don't show the bicep. And even though this is probably the highest body fat percentage I've ever had, I've never weighed this much in my entire life. This is like, I'm 6 kilos over my heaviest ever weight that I've ever noticed. But I look leaner, I look athletic, I look like I compete. You know, I don't get asked, have you ever thought about competing? Which is how all guys in the gym chat you up when you're young. I get asked, when are you next competing? You know, and it's
time. Time's the biggest factor.
Yeah, patience.
Yeah, a couple of years ago when I did my like first improvement season, I would compare myself to people that was like IFBB pros.
Yeah.
And like, how can you expect yourself to look like that when you're not on the same chapter as them? It's the same with what I explain to first timers as well. First timers will come to me and they'll send me photos and they'll be like, I want to look like that. And I'm like, it's not physically possible for you to look like that because one, you're not them. Two, you've been training a totally different amount of time. Yeah. Three, even got yourself into stage condition before, probably not. Therefore, you need to actually see what your body's capable of first, and then we grow from there. But it's like, the first improvement season is probably the hardest because
I think so.
You've not got as much tissue underneath. Therefore, you will look a little bit softer than what you.
Yeah. But that is the word, isn't it? You look softer, and as you get more muscle mass under there, you will look harder and more athletic at a higher body fat percentage. And hopefully, I'm hoping for this year, when I diet down, I won't have to get as lean to look the way I need to look. Let's see. I'm hoping. I hate getting lean. Like, I just look like a skull with muscles, which is fine, but it's very aging on me. And I pride myself on looking younger than my age, but I actually look my age. Do you remember I got diet face after 2 weeks of dieting? That was crazy. That is just age as well. Just try the vegan way. I'm saying it's bad protein farts. I use isolate, but I actually like plant-based ways as well. If you can find one that you like the taste of, then why not? It's all trial and error. I just think it's patience, isn't it? It's bodybuilding, and I think that people need to realize that to build your body, you need to take it through these phases. You need to lay those foundations before you can get to that IFBB Pro end result.
And it's just it's a really slow process. Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen in a couple of months. You've got to be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day, so don't expect your physique to either. And
stop comparing yourself to everyone, because they don't even look like that in real life. I promise you. I try and say I look better in real life to my coach, and she's like, We've only got 1.5 minutes left. Can you believe it?
Gosh, so quickly.
I know. Someone's just said, what age do females peak in bodybuilding? It honestly, there's no age dependent. Like, I think I'm 15 years older than Erin, and I'm only still just at the start of my journey, whereas she's much further down hers. It's a kind of genetics thing. How long have you been training?
Drugs. Yeah,
drugs is very, very good point. It doesn't stop you at 1 hour anymore. Jodie, I was counting down 56 seconds. I'm not lying. But thank you everyone for watching. Erin and I are actually going to record a podcast on her podcast about this, so you'll get to hear more from us. And if you want anyone to catch up, this will be on my IGTV. But thank you, Erin, and thank you everyone.
More of these though.
Definitely. I really, really want to I want to normalize normal bodies.
Get in a hedge.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Love you. Bye.